with Books with Brandywine. I'm in my car because I was trying to go to Barnes & Noble. You can see it back there, kind of. But they don't open for half an hour. And I want to talk about books. So we're going to talk about books. Specifically, the book Stardust. So I finished it, like, the book before last. And I wanted to watch the movie again before I did the book review with you guys. But I haven't gotten around to watching the movie. And I really, really want to talk about the book. So we're going to talk about the book. So it's a thin book. It's like that thick. And I don't have it with me to show you guys. But it was much thinner than I was expecting. And I didn't even know it was a book. It's just one of my favorite movies. But somebody posted, I don't know if it was on Twitter or if it was like a YouTube video or what it was, but they had gotten it or they had heard about it or something, and they didn't know, like, either that it was a book. And I posted, I was like, oh my gosh, you need to read it first. I think it was like their TBR or something. And then I got really excited because I was like, oh my gosh, it's a book. I need to go get this book. So I was getting the rest of the Lunar Chronicles series so I could read those. And I looked up at the very top of the teen section. There it was, staring at me with its pirate ship on the cover. And I got really excited. So I bought all the Lunar Chronicles. I had to go to another Barnes & Noble because the one here didn't have them. And then I came back and I got Stardust. And I put it up there. I was like, all right, as soon as I finish Lunar Chronicles, I am reading Stardust. And I did. And I loved it. But we're going to break it down, like, the emotional roller coaster that I had going through this book. Not because, like, the book is emotional, but because my brain couldn't decide if I liked the book or not. So, I don't know how many of you have seen the movie. But it came out, I want to say it was almost 10 years ago. But it might not have been that long ago. I'm not sure. But it's an absolutely gorgeous movie. And the book follows the same basic plotline. So the basic plotline is there's this little village in England. I believe it was in England. It could have been Scotland, but it was somewhere in that general vicinity of magicalness and mist and rain. And it's this little town called Wall. And the reason it's called Wall is because right next to the town is a wall. Surprise, surprise. But on the other side of the wall is the fairy world. And there's only one gap in this wall. And that gap is guarded by the citizens or the townspeople of Wall. And so they'll rotate, like 2 men will like shifts, and it'll just rotate through all the men in the town. And their only rule is that nobody from Wall is allowed to go in to Fairyland. But if somebody comes from, like, outside of Wall and they have this look in their eye, they just let them through, because obviously they know what's on the other side of the wall and they know what they're doing, and they don't stop them. They only stop citizens from Wall. And that was the one difference from the movie. So, like, immediately my brain was like, there's differences happening. But in the book, it's 2 guys that rotate. And so this one young guy goes through, meets a fairy person, does the thing. I was kind of expecting that, but because I've seen the movie, so I knew that they did it. But I am like one of those people that I blush when people kiss in books. So I was not expecting the detail that went into them doing it. I was not prepared for that. And I was blushing, and my husband's like, what's going on? And I was like, nothing's going on. She's totally not wrapping her legs around him. Anyway, so there's that. I was not expecting that. It is a YA book. And I know YA books have sex in them. But I'm used to, like, okay, they had sex, next day she's pregnant. Not, like, details. And admittedly, it was not as many details as a normal romance novel. And this was a Harper teen romance novel. So, next. Anyway, before I start blushing again. So yeah, so this guy goes across the wall, meets a girl, gets her pregnant. 9 months later, a baby shows up at the entrance to the wall with just the baby's name on it. By last name, they figure out whose it is. They take it to him, and his new bride, who just got married, raise this baby. And then the rest of the story is that baby has grown up, and he is in love with this girl that totally doesn't deserve his love. But she's the most beautiful person in town and the most beautiful person in the world, if you ask him. And so he's chatting with her one night, and she won't kiss him. And a shooting star comes down, and he gets her to agree that if he goes and gets her the shooting star, then she'll do whatever his heart's desire is. And it's implied that will be to marry him. But they both think that the shooting star is going to be just, the hunk of rock, the meteorites that we get. And so, but the star landed on the other side of the wall, and people from the wall are not allowed to go through the wall. So his dad gets him through the wall, and again, different from the movie, how it goes down in the book. And so he gets through the wall, and he starts on his journey to try and find this star. And he finds her relatively quickly, with the help of this little furry guy who was helped by his dad 20 years before, randomly. And really, his dad didn't do anything except say, yeah, go ahead and sleep in the barn with me, I don't care, and go back to sleep. But this little guy felt like he had done him a service and he had to repay him. And then the boy was walking with him and got him out of this weirwood where the trees would have eaten them or killed them, or somehow killed their flesh off their bones. I don't know. And either way, they would have died in this wood, and the boy got him out. And so he feels like he owes this boy a lot. And so he helps him out by figuring out that the boy has this power where he can find any inanimate object and just know where it is. Mostly locations. But for some reason, the star falls into this, even though she's not an inanimate object. I don't know. So, and I promise I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I'm going to stop right after this. But he helps him figure out that he has this power. And then using that power, and using the power of a candlestick, he helps him find the star. But then he disappears after that. And I was really sad, because I really liked his character, and I kind of wanted him to pop up again, but he doesn't. But the whole book is written it's a total fantasy, but it's a super adventurous, high fantasy. And so he finds the star, and obviously he has to get her back. And so I was so this is the emotional journey that I went on with this book. So I was really, really enjoying the book. I was noticing, obviously, all the differences between the movie and the book. It is, one of my favorite movies, so I have seen it, 10 times, but I haven't seen it in a few years. Because for some reason, I don't own it. I don't know why I don't own this movie, but, I need to find this movie and buy it. And so, I've seen this movie, 10 times. And so a lot of it was in my mind as I was reading the book. And of course, I was comparing the book to the movie the entire time. And so the part that I was looking forward to the most in the book is the scene that I'm pretty sure it was played by Robert De Niro, but it's the when they're on the ship that collects lightning from the sky. And they are, in the movie, they are on this ship for a really long time. And they fall in love, and Robert De Niro is crazy awesome, and it's my favorite part in the movie. And so I was really, really, really looking forward to it in the book, and especially because the cover of the book is the pirate ship. But when you get to it in the book, it's one chapter, a few pages. It's not long at all. It's basically, they get on the ship, they get their wounds healed, they sit around a lot, they get some new clothes, and then it's done. And that's like it. And I was just like, what? I was like, they had this awesome scene in the movie, and it's not in the book. And so I was loving the book until I got to that part. And then I started to get really disgruntled, because I was like, they're supposed to be falling in love. It's a romance book, but they're not showing them fall in love at all. And then all of a sudden, he's in love with her. Like, just like that. Like, he realizes that he's no longer in love with the original girl, and he realizes he's in love with the star. And it's like no big deal, and they go on with their lives. And so, at first, that like really, really bugged me, and I was like, I hate this book. But then, like, sometime, like, right after he realized he's in love with her, like, I started thinking about it, and I was like, it's not a first-person narrative, kind of. It's like a storyteller telling us the story that happened, like, all this time ago. And he's a good storyteller. I love that part of it. But, losing my train of thought. Where's the train? I need to get back on the train. Oh, yeah. So, I realized that realized that he was in love with her when he realized that he was in love with her. So, unlike the movie where, you're like on the outside and you're watching the whole journey and we get to see them fall in love, in the book, it's more from his perspective. And so, he didn't know he was in love. So, obviously, we're not going to see them falling in love. We kind of get hints that the star is in love with him. But to me, it just seemed like a really strong platonic friendship. Until all of a sudden they were in love. And then the book ends like really shortly after that. What happens to the witch is completely different in the book from what happens in the movie. It really, really diverges. Like, right around the time of the pirate ship, like everything just completely changes from the book to the movie. And at first, like, that was bugging me. But then, like, once I had that revelation about, that we saw him fall in love, like, when he realized that he was in love. And then the way things ended with the witch, and I was like, what? I really like how things went down in the book. Like, I really liked it. And so then, by the time I finished the book, I was like, I'm totally in love with the book again. And I still love the movie. And I cannot wait to see this movie again. Like, I need to get on it, because I need to watch this movie again. But I really, really loved the book. And it's so short. Like, I can see myself reading the book again and again. Because it's like a day read, maybe two if I get distracted. But it's like really fast. And there were changes. There were definitely, characters they don't have in the movie. For obvious reasons, time constraints and stuff. I love this one point where, like, they're trying, because I think it was supposed to take them, like, 6 months or something from the time he found the star to the time that he gets back to Wall, and that's not even counting her broken leg, so it was probably longer than that, but, like, there was, like, a few paragraphs where it just lists, like, adventures that they had randomly, because they just had too many adventures to fit in the book, and so it'd be, like, a sentence per adventure, like, oh, by the way, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And so I loved it. And I loved how it was written. It was from, like, it was such a, like, it was a story that was being told to you by a storyteller around the fire with, like, all the kids sitting there and, like, the traveling bard or whatnot. And so I loved that part of it. I have been wanting to read one of his books for a really long time. Because I saw he had there's a Norse mythology book. And it looked really, really good. And so I had no idea that he had written Stardust. So I got really excited when I found that out too. So I've now said now I can say I read one of his books. But I would definitely say read the book. It is really fun. It is really short. And it's just a great, like, fantasy novel. Like, it's just awesome. But at the same time, like, if you love the movie, love the movie as much as I do, like, definitely go into the book with an open mind. obviously read the book for the book. Try not to compare it as much as I did. I know that might be hard. It's so easy to compare the movies and the books when we're reading the books. But I still love the movie. The book did not ruin the movie for me, even though they are very different beings. But I had fun. I'm excited that I read this book. I'm excited to see the movie again. So I would definitely suggest that you guys go check out the book. Just, if you're a bit prudish like me, be prepared for a couple sex scenes. But, yeah. So, have fun. Enjoy your books. I will see you guys again soon.